How you going? We're here. We're doing our rotor. I've printed the rotors. As I said, this is the second version 2, so this is a V2 Geoffrey V2 motor. I've changed the magnet configuration. I've put more magnets on the bottom. I'm doing one rotor. I've brought it down. Instead of having a double rotor, I'm going to try and do it as a single rotor. And I thought, well, I might as well increase the magnetic field. I just put rotors on, magnets on the top side and magnets on the bottom side. And what we're doing here, basically, this is not a how to use a lathe video. This is how to get it machined out so it runs nice and true. Here's the bearings that I use. So I print these when they're printed. This bearing journal is 18 mil. And I believe the bearings that I'm using are 20 mil. Have I got glasses? I haven't got the glasses. Oh. I have to go and get glasses, but anyway, it looks like 19 millimeters. And that bearing hole is 17 millimeters, 18 millimeters. So it's only a millimeter that has to come out. If you don't have a lathe, you'll have to, in the book, he tells you in that book, A.D. Moore's electrostatics book, he tells you how he gets it to run true. He uses a bit of glue and spins it. There's a little trick in it, but anyway, it's in his book. So if you don't have a lathe and you can't get one, import this into Fusion, bring it back into Fusion, change your size here to suit the bearing that you've got, whatever bearing you get. And these are, I think these are like roller skate bearings, so that's why they're cheap. That's why I've got them. You can pull them out of roller skates if you find an old pair of roller skates laying around. Alrighty, here we go. So what we're going to do is I'm going to speed a lot of this video up. It's raining today, so I don't even know if the sound's good. I'm just going to get this, give it a little jog and check it. To me, it's too wobbly. So I'm going to give it a little tap. Turn this. See, on the printer it might be egg-shaped or something, so you just got to turn it, a bit of a turn, wriggle it, check it. Oh, that's real bad. That's not bad. That's not bad. So we're going to go with that. It's a 4th hour or something, but it's no. This has been printed on a glass bed, but when it printed, I didn't put enough brim loops on it, and it curved up a little bit. So you know, but to stand there and just look at it, if I had that running. If that was run on the machine, I think it looks pretty straight, so I'll just leave it at that. So, we've got our little bearing. I'm just going to keep machining it down until we get it a little bit of time. Ooh, too tight. Anyway, that's going to be it. Probably not that much. Maybe I should have maybe I've gone too far, too fast or something. You can't use lubricants, don't use anything. If you do, it'll get in between the... If you put anything in there at all, it gets in there and they just separate. You can only use glue. I've already sprayed these. Now here's the trick. How do you flip it over? I'm going to mark where I've grabbed it. I've got a pen here somewhere. Should have a heap of pens. I know I bought a box of them. I got a pencil. I'll mark that one. And that one. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to touch this edge and clean this edge up without hitting me chuck. And then when I grab it, I'm going to grab it on that new edge that I made. And that's it, just clean it up a bit. Because it printed on that side, there's going to be, the edge is not right. So if you want to do lathe stuff, A-Bomb 79, he's really good, Adam. And Johnny Q, I forget what it is, but he's 97 or something, but he's really good too. I might send it to him actually, because they might want to have a go at making one of these when they're finished. Anyway, that's it. So now, I'm just going to take it off and turn it. I've got my teeth marks here. I'm going to put it straight back in the same teeth, hoping that it lines up. Well, one of them will. That's not bad. That's not bad. Straight up. I can't put the thing on this side. It's too rough. Too many bumps. It won't work. All right, and that's about it. It's pretty boring. You don't even need to do this. I'm just doing it because it's in the lathe. I might as well quickly give it a quick just to tidy it up so it looks a bit better. The magnets stick out past the edge anyway, so let's just give it a nicer, smooth finish. This one's not too bad, so we do this one next. It's a bit tricky. This one I'm going to be able to. I can turn it, you can hold it with this section. Hold it here, grab it here, do that one, machine that down. Then you can grab that, flip it around. It's hard. This one printed really well. I put a heap more brim loops on it. It stuck to the bed really well. So I'm happy that it's flat. And then when it goes in the chuck, straight edge. A straight edge on it was a little bit, not much. Half a millimetre, if that. Oh, this dog, get out of it. So yes. So I'll grab it like that. I'll do this, I'll do that, and then I'll turn around and grab it like that, and then I'll do that. So yeah, look at that, the whole surface. So it must have been pretty close, but I have moved that. I should not have touched that. Oh. Anyway. Now I got to rework out, because what I could have done if I hadn't moved it was just moved it straight back to that point. Anyway, here we go. Now what I did here was I've put half the bearing in the top here and half the bearing in the other one, so when they go together the bearing will pull them, will straighten them out so they're on the, you know. And that's too loose, didn't you know? Yeah. And just when I do the next one, I'll make sure I don't go to that number. I will not move that again. So we're good to go there. Too loose, but anyway. Right, we are done. That one's good enough. I'm happy with that. I'll go through and tidy that up. Clean it up a bit. Might give it another spray because I've taken a bit off it. Right, we got that one done. I've got the next one set up. I've tightened it, I've checked it. It looks like it runs pretty straight. I put the bloody gauge on it. Got my marker here, so I should be able to just get to nearly that marker. That's much better. So, shame I stuffed the other ones, but anyway, when I spray it, the spray is going to put a tiniest bit of a layer on there. So that will fix it. Yeah, that looks good. Again, I'll have to spray that again. Yeah, that's fine. So what I've done here, because if you think about your machine, your 3D printer, your bed's flat. You've worked that out with a piece of paper, right? But as you go up on the Z-axis, I use a set square to set my printer up so that is not leaning either way. It should be right that way, but if your framework is back a little bit, it's going to, as it comes up and you build upwards, it's going to build it on a slight angle. It might only be half a millimeter, but this is 150 odd millimeters high, I forget what it is, 60, 70, 100 odd millimeters high overall, that could end up being a millimeter at the top. So what I've done is I've put a smaller drill bit. I think it's a 10 mil hole, so I've used 9.5 mil drill bit, and I've mounted that on. I've used the drill bit just to line it up so that I know it should be center, and then I can take it back, tighten it up a bit. I can have a look, and that looks really bad. It looks really bad. So I'm going to now tap it. It's loose in there. I haven't tightened it up yet. So I'm just going to give it a little tap until it tightens. And there's another way you can do it. You can do it this way. Pull it forward a little bit, so it looks like it's even. Oh, that's real bad. But anyway, we're just going to do that. We're just going to pull it forward the tiniest bit. Too far out. One side went back and the other side didn't. Try that hard up, because it printed pretty good on that glass bed, so I've tried that hard up. Yeah, hard up in the chuck, it looks pretty good. It looks good this way. It looks really good this way. When I look at it side on, that disc, because that's how it's going to spin, and you don't, like, you'll see it when it's sitting there spinning. If it's out, you're going to see this thing. So I'm not too worried about that because I can change it. I'm worried about this being this way, not wobbling. And to me, that looks pretty good. If I had that running at high speed, I'd be happy. So I'm just going to tighten it up there. I'm going to do it there. And like I said, my Z-axis could be out on the machine, and as it's printing up, it's leaning over. It might only be a thousandth of a millimeter at the bottom, but by the time you get up, you're going to be a tenth or a half millimeter or whatever, a millimeter, maybe worst case scenario at the top. Now, anyway, here we go. I've still got my number there, so I just have to swap this thing. While I got this in, I'm going to cut that face a little bit, make sure it's flat. Because of the way these bearings are, the outside and the inside are the same length, so what I do is I just go in there and clean out so that this inside bit doesn't touch on the other side. And that's about it. I might run that drill up the middle. It should be right, there's a heap of room in there. So there's a little, I've cut a little edge, you can't really see it way back there, but I've cut a little edge so that bearing sits in there and doesn't touch on the bit. That's nice and tight, that one, so that's good. And I'm going to pull these seals out as well, out of the bearing. So that's about it. We've got our 3. That thing will go on there. So that'll go on there. And he'll tighten up and he should be good. I put 4 screws in the top here. And what you do there is you just tighten them. Don't over tighten them, just tighten them. And then if you want one side to go, if you're spinning, you look and you hold your finger onto something, and that one, well, you do that screw up and tighten it down a bit more, and it'll just pull it. So you can pull it this way and that way and get it all tightened out and flatten out. Anyway, I hope I didn't bore you too much. That's that. We've got to do, I've done these as well. So basically what I do is just going to clean this stuff up. These get drilled out. This is where the bolt head will go down in there. The taper. I think it's on this side, or is it on that side? Oh, it's this one here. So this one here, I've recessed it. I can drill that out so that just pokes through. And then this end here gets threaded. So you tighten it up and thread it into the... I'm going to paint it in with plastic. So our rotor's done. I'm going to put the magnets in it. And there's a bit of mucking around with that. And I drill out some holes for the screws. Glue in the magnets. That motor's on. That rotor's on. We've done our coils. I'll put this together, put the coils in, and I've done the box. I've just got to, what's it called? Wire it up, and we should have this motor running within a day or so. Anyway, if I don't get sidetracked. All right, that's it. No worries. I'll just put some photos in of spray painting stuff, and I should take some photos up close of this in the lathe so you can see it. All right, no worries. All right, thanks, bye. Righto, here we go. I've got me router bit. It cleans out the hole, and that'll make it a bit better. The 3D print won't be good enough, so there we go. That was easy. It's pretty good. I print them. You have to print them that way. This is the side down. You got your little bump sticking up when you print it. I think I got a photo. Maybe I didn't get a photo. Has to be that way anyway. These ones have the thing on it. This end's going to be threaded, so we're going to thread this end, and we're just going to drill straight through on this end with a 6mm drill bit and thread that end. So I'll speed it up a bit so I'm not boring you to death with that. Also, here's my little front cover, my control box. It's going to be cleaned out in here, so this will be 6mm. So the bolt goes through it, and then this has got to be threaded 6mm to take a 6mm thread. And then with this, we're going to do 2 options here. I'm going to have magnets on both sides. I could thread that. I could put a 4mm thread in it, which I probably will do. And basically you screw on one side and then you put the nut on the back. Or I can just drill it out and then just poke it in and tighten it up on the back. I'll have a think about that in the next 5 minutes. Threading it, you'd be able to then just use a threaded 4mm screw to hold it on if you just want to have one magnet on one side if you want to save yourself some money. Anyway, that's a thought. So that, this here, so here also has to be drilled out. I think I'm using a 6G. It might be a 4G. 4G screws by an inch, I believe is what I'm using there. So this side gets drilled out so the screw can go through it easy, because this is an adjustable thing. If it's not, it's never going to sit right. I've machined off the face here, and I couldn't do anything here. I just hope that this thing it doesn't feel too bad. I just hope the printer has printed it pretty flat. But I managed to put that, when it was on the lathe, I just took a tiniest bit off that to make sure it's flat. That should go on there. Now, it's never going to be perfect, but when it wobbles, you just tighten one side up a bit more. You know, if you got 4 screws, tighten this. I'll do it when we do it anyway, but so that's what that is. So what we got? That. We're going to drill out these holes. We're going to drill out these 4 holes at the top here. That's where the timing ring goes. I haven't printed the timing ring. Anyway, I'm going to print the timing ring, and we're going to thread this. That's it. I'll probably clean out those 2 little holes here to be cleaned out. This is, I just sprayed this just to try and jazz it up a bit, you know. Do that there. Might look a bit better. I don't know. It was real patchy on the front here. If that was real nice glossed black like this, a bit better, I probably would have left it, but anyway, give that a go. Righto, that's it. I don't want to waste your time too much. Alright, I'm into it. Then I spray these, check them, make sure they slide in pretty good. They look pretty good. There's a little bit has to come out from in there. But they should, so you can literally put one in there like that. I'll bring that up here. That's it. So you can, this one, you know, should just slide in, and this one now should go in there, easy enough. And when I look at it, look at that, perfect fit. It's within a millimetre, half a millimetre. So when that's all screwed up tight, that'll go in there and sit there nice and tight. We're going to have rotor, we're going to have our rotors on. Mate, I'm excited. It's all going to happen here today, or tomorrow, or the next day, soon. Over the next couple of days, we're going to have it done. Righto guys, we're still going. I've got a lot of stuff drilled out, so we're going to thread it. Now I've just drilled out, cleaned out all my holes. What I've decided to do, let's start with the top. So this is the top of the rotor. Well, it's going to be the bottom as well. So what I've done with this one, this is the single rotor V2 version. Oh, you can't see it, I put it down too low. Single rotor version. I'll stay back here. And what I've done is, we've machined it on the lathe. I've drilled out, this is a M4 threaded M4 20mm, that is, so M4 20, and it's just the right length to go through there with a nylock nut on the back of it. So when you drill your holes, it's important not to move these holes around, so that you get in the right place. The glue will fill out. I wonder why it's such a big hole. Oh yeah, well see, it isn't. It just allows for a bit of clearance. But anyway, it's important that you don't move that hole in the middle there. I'm using now when this lid goes on, if this is your lid, I'm going to be using a 4G 1-inch screw to screw that on there. There's 4 of them. So I've drilled this hole out. There's not a lot of bite in it. I'd like a little bit more bite, but I've got about, I don't know if you can see it, I've got about 10 mil of bite on the end of that. A little bit more would have been good. Maybe I should have recessed the holes at the top here, and I might do that. I might go back and recess them down, just so you got a bit more bite on that. You know, that's a common screw, 4G 1-inch. All my screws that I use are 4 mil, 6 mil, and 10 mil. They're your basic. You wouldn't go through, don't worry about 3 mil or 5 mil or anything like that. If you go to the shop, you just buy a box of 4 mil threaded screws. You've always got them. Then you go 4G and 6G. They're your most common screws, and you just get various lengths of them, and some are really short, some are longer. Anyway, then you've got the same stuff. You haven't, you know, you only need the same spinners. Righto, so that hole there is really loose, pokes through easy, and that one I barely cleaned out these holes with a 2 mil drill. And I did that, I think, with a 3 mil, with maybe a 3.5 mil drill to get them clear. Threading, here we go, we're going to thread. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to use these two short, these are M6 by 40 mil, are they? Or 50 mil? M6 by 40 odd mil. M6 by 40 mil, and just one either side for me door. Wherever my door is, here's my door. So I'll drill that so it goes through here easy. So that's going to be drilled out again. But I'll thread this now while I've got the threader machine on. This is the tap that the thread recommended to use, the drill that they said to use. All right, we're getting there. I'll throw a photo in. I couldn't get video over there, it's too hard. I've ground off the head off the bolt. This is what the bolt looked like originally, and I have, oh, it's terrible, unless you put it up against white maybe. Anyway, hopefully you can see it. The grinding of the bolt head, and it just makes it a bit smaller. See the difference? Not much, but it's just you know, reduces the size. 10 mil. The dowel roll pin we're using is 10 mil, so this head now is 10 mil instead of 12 mil. Righto, so here's me parts, and as you can see, that's got the taper on it, so the bolt pushes through there and comes down to the coil will go in there, of course, so put the coil in there. But anyway, they're all threaded and ready to go. So he'll just take that little screw, goes through there, another bolt, another coil, and away you go. And that should all be good. They just screw in, that's fine. And I will lacquer the heads of these bolts on my way out of here. And it'll just stop them from rusting, otherwise they'll rust up if it, 10 years time or whatever. I want this one to be a good one, this one's going to last me a while. So I'll spray all that stuff there. And right, so that's that. So we've got them. We've got our bearings. So they're 6 mil, M6 by 60 mil. Must be a 1 mil thread or something. M6 by 60 mil. We've used, here's our little things. So I've drilled them out so they just slide through. And that'll just go on there. Oops, pushing out. That just goes on there, and that'll thread in. Get the thread started. So I'll tighten this up when I take it back upstairs. Up to the house. That's that. Right, we got that, so there's our little thing. Another thing done. Here's our rotor. We've got rotor. We've got our bearings. Did I give you the bearing size? 6262 RSV2. So I don't know if it'll probably won't zoom on that, I'm wasting my time. It's a 20 mil. Where'd I put the bearing? There it is. This bearing is 19 millimeters on the outside diameter. It's for a 6 mil shaft, and it's 6 millimeters thick. And I'm going to pop those seals out when I put it in, because this thing, like I said, we're back to the beginning. There's no forces on it. There's never going to be a load on this bearing. It's going to pretty much slip on the shaft anyway. The bearing's not really going to turn, but if you take the seal out, if it, for the sake of it, take the seal out. If there is any friction at all on that, as it's slipping on the shaft, it'll turn on the bearing. So you won't get, it'll get really slippery and it won't be very frictional. You lose 10 watts running a bearing like that. If you were to run that bearing tight, right, you'd lose 10 watts on that bearing, 5 to 10 watts, if you had it tightened up and had to run it. So if you had 3 of them, if you had 5, we got 5 in here, so that'd be 50 watts we'd lose on these bearings if they were tight. Anyway, that's just something for you. And this thing it's floating in its own magnetic field, its own electric field. It's going to get its own position, and it's going to just stay in that position, and the forces are going to keep it within that spheres. So here we are. I'm just popping out the seals. And also it's a little screwdriver. Like I said, these things are never going to, they shouldn't actually turn, but on the off chance that you get a little bit out, you want them to spin as freely as possible, and that frees them up. It's going to be, and then that just pushes in, that's it. I still haven't done I've got to do the timing light ring. Anyway, we'll do that. That one, then that one sits in the top there. And one more bearing for there. Right, so that will go on. go. And like I said, four screws in there gives you the option to tighten this one a bit or that one a bit and just get any little wobbles out. And you can lift it a bit, because once it's running, once it's happy, it's just gonna, it's not gonna move again. And I've just used my, I got a piece here, this thing. Oh, where'd that go? There it is. I've just used my part to clean out for these screws and just countersink that a bit. These are the four screws that I need. And I'll put in a couple extra in case I lose some. Actually, I'll take them up to the house. I'll take the whole box because I don't need it sooner or later. So I'll take all that stuff. I'll take that. Oh, that goes on the shaft. I've put the nut on there. I've put the nylock nut on. And that now I've put my bearings in. Another bearing at the top here, so I'll do it. And that can pretty much go in. I could put that over there. So there's that. There's that. That'll screw in there. That goes on. We've got more bearings to go. Magnets to put in. But everything's drilled out and ready to go, so it should all just go together. And I'll just sit up at the house. It's raining, so I can't go outside and anything anyway, so I'll just up there for tonight and tomorrow and put it together and tighten it up and adjust it. I've got the things around the corner there drying, so I painted them. And yeah, that's about it. Guys, here you go, we're back again. So I'm just going to quickly do the rotor. I'm going to get this rotor done. I'm going to get the magnets glued in, and then I'll put the video up on the internet. I've got to try and get all this done within the next few days for this instructables thing. Anyway, so we've got our little ring, our little timing ring. And what I do with this, I printed it, you could print it in 0.4 if you want. I just printed in 0.8, it's pretty good, it works out. But what I do is I grab my mum or my wife's fingernail file, and I just go through and clean up that slot. It should just be, I don't want to oversink, you can't do it. It's a special, it's only, I think it's 1 or 2 millimeters, but you don't want to rub it too much. You just want to take off any funny edges so that that slot is nice and clean and the edge of it is nice and even. And when the light signal goes through it and hits our little thing over here, I don't know where I've put it, it's here somewhere. Anyway, so I'm just going through, clean that out a bit, and oh, I've got to go and paint it. I'll go and paint that as well. So that gets a little spray. It's got to be a dark plastic so that the light can't pass through it. And that's about it. There you go, that's how hard that was. And I've just cleaned it up a bit. I'm going to pre-drill these holes, and those holes there should be easy. And I just use this little, I've got these little 4G screws. So I've got to write a list down of all these screws that I'm using, but anyway, there it is there. It's a little 4G by, I think it's quarter. 4G by quarter. And that ring will go in there, and I just put 4 screws around there, and I'll do that. And then this is the glue that I'm going to use, so it's pretty good. Just a little bit of smear, a little bit of glue on your magnet. You got some water, so you spray where your magnets are going to go, and just a little dab of glue, and then just a little bit on them, not much. You don't need much. It's just enough. Because I printed this 0.8 mil, I got all these ribs. The glue will go in there and help strengthen that. And there's a gap around the edge of the magnet, like this one. There's going to be a bit of room there, and that'll fill up with. Let's put it there so you can see the gap. That little gap around the edge there will fill up with glue and sort of hold the magnet. The magnets, it's this hole here that's centering the magnets, right? Not the outer ring. Oop! Something fell off on there. It's this magnet here, it's the holes here. So when you drill those holes, be careful not to move them around. Alright, we're into it. That's about it. So I'll give him a little squirt. Ooh, there goes my laptop. Let's put it over here. You don't need much, it's just an activator. Pick whatever you want, north up or south up, whatever it is. Put your first magnet in. I'm going to use this one. I'm making sure that whatever you do, the inside here, you want to have it nice and flat, so that when your coils go in, that should just go through there. There it goes. When your coil goes in, you haven't got a bow, guys. Here you go. We're going to glue in our magnets, so I'll try and do it so you can see a bit better. That. I put a little dab of glue here. Ooh. And now I'm just going to use a little stick, and I'm not going to put much on. Just a few little dobs here and there. I'll put it over here so you can see it a bit better. A few little dobs. Got a little glove on. Maybe I should have 2 gloves on. And I don't know, you got to start somewhere. There. Here you go through there. Now I've already sprayed it with water. I sprayed it with water. So there's a little bit of water on this. Here's my next one, which should be an opposing magnet. And he wants to go face up. So maybe I should put the glue on the inside yet. See, this is going to be hard to hold with glue on it. Maybe I should be putting glue in there. Can you do that? Maybe. I'll try it. Oh, here we go, maybe do this. I should have really done a couple of test runs, to see what's a good way to do it. You don't need much glue. Honestly, the bolt, you probably don't need any glue. But I just thought, I'm going to do it. I might as well glue it so everyone can see how to glue it. And then I'm checking each time to make sure that I'm going to put this thing, they've all got to be facing the same direction. So each time I do it, I'm going to check each one, make sure it's attracted to that before I put it in the hole beside it. I know it's attracted, I'll put it in the hole. Hold it down. They want to jump out all the time. There it goes. The other side. Once he gets a magnet on, he'll hold himself in place. But until then, it's you got to hold it in place. And I've got my magnets arranged in order here, so I'm just going to have it one way, then the next one. One, then the next one. And I'll check him again, make sure he's attracted. Now he's going to go there. That's it. And actually I'll put my nuts on as I go, I think. I better put nuts on as I go along. So that's it, and they're all facing the same way. Alright, I will find some, I've got some little nylon nuts. So yeah, I'm just going through, I'm trying to turn it so you can see a bit better. I'm just going through and not over tightening it. Let's hit the... Yeah, so this is what I meant by you don't want to have too much sticking out on the other side. It's higher than the magnet. So you can see here on the inside, this is where the coil's going to be. We need to make it clean. Right, so there is going to be an overhang on the bottom, but so there's no changing magnetic field here. It's all one direction. Everything's going in one direction. And the other way you can do it to make it a bit easier is you can do this one here. You can skip one and do one, and skip one and do one. And that way you're not getting affected by the magnetic field of the one beside it so much. Make it a bit easier. Check it. Make sure it's going to be attracted in that position. There. Put in the screw. They should just push in. I've done them so they just push in. Oh, magnets. Once you start working with these, you really appreciate. I wouldn't squirt it in there because you'll get too much. You need to be able to apply a measured dose in sort of thing. Well, I haven't got my gloves on now. I'll put my gloves back on. I've got another glove there. Oh. I don't know why I took that glove off actually. So I've used, see me magnets, I don't know whether you can see it. Oh, magnets. Anyway, oh, there it goes again. It's a nightmare, you've got to keep these things so far away from everything. Anyway, here they are here. So I'm taking this one for the top, now that one. So it should be that one. And he should be attracted to these. If I hold him over there, he's attracted to them. And I'm going to pop him in there. He's attracted to the other one. We're in business. I've made a mistake before because they really want to flip over on you and go the other way. And eventually what will happen is you'll get them in the wrong way, and then they your motor won't run properly. Mate, I nearly took a sledgehammer to it and sorted it right out. And then when I gave up on it, when I pulled it apart, I've realised that I put one magnet in the wrong way, and that just made it run really sick. Yeah. So that's it. I'm just going to go through and do that, and I might go outside and do it a bit more light. Here we go. Here we go. I got a bit sidetracked. You can see why I use this glue. It puffs up around the edges here and fills up the edges, so it sort of foams around it and packs in. That's why I've left a bit of a gap to allow for that. Right. Righto, here we go. I'm putting this, I'm going to start the top one now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my lid here. This is the way it should be. I'm going to put this magnet in here and see which way it's attracted. Now it should be attracted to that one, shouldn't it? Because we want our magnetic field to all be in a line. We don't want opposing magnetic fields or anything. So this one is going to go with this magnet on the underside here. So I'll put him in. Oh, we're finished. I finished it. Look at that.
Check
And
this
this would
done.
be to get a reverse face where it's pushing, and it should push off all of them, all the way around. If it's attracted to any of them, I know I've done it wrong. So it's not going to stick to any of them, right? So that's fine. We'll put that one there. Put it away a bit. Over there. I'm going to do the same with this one. Obviously I got to flip it over, do I? Yeah. Flip it over so it's repelled. It's being repelled. It's being repelled. It's being repelled. It won't go onto any of them. Right, to me, that feels good. And my pearl thumb, there's my thumb. What's left of my gloves. Anyway, they're good. You can just take them off, throw them in the bin. Alright, we're happy. I've done it. What a nightmare. I've got to put the timing light on, bearings back in, screw the lid on, and the rotor is ready to go. That's just going to go on. Now that should be attracted that way. So now when you think about it, what have we got here? All done. We've put our lid on. So what we've got here is we've got a bigger magnet. All of these magnets are facing the same way. All of the magnetic field is trying to flow through this. So the magnetic field from here is trying to flow through to these magnets. And then it's trying to loop over. So you got this whole, this is like a big magnet, isn't it? If you came here with a compass, this would just be similar to a big magnet. But when you get up close, there's a little gap. There's a little gap here. And this gap is where we're in here. There, say that little gap there. That's the little gap is what we pay for. And then once it jumps over that little gap, it's going to be attracted to here. And then we pay for it to not be attracted. And then it's going to be attracted to here. And then we pay for it. So the magnets are doing the work, or some of the work. They're doing, I think it's, the gap here is 10 mil and there's 60. So that's a 1/7. We have to pay for 1/7 of each revolution. All right, or thereabouts, you know, rough figures. All right, that's it.
We're back into it. It's the next morning. I've used these little screws. Come on, pick one up. Now here, I've used this little screw. There's 4 in here. I've used the fingernail file to clean out the slots. Put my bearings, and we've done that. We've glued these. It's a bit yucky looking, and maybe I'll go through and paint it or something. I don't know. We won't worry about it, I guess. You won't see it too much once all the stuff goes in. I'll probably try and cut some of this stuff away if it's too much, as long as it doesn't stick up in here and hit on the inside here. So we're going to balance it. I've got my bearings in there. I'm just going to give it a little roll and see if there's a heavy spot. And there doesn't seem to be. It doesn't really roll back on itself or anything, so that's probably not too bad. For the testing, to get it tested and to get it run, I probably won't put there's the little socket, female socket goes on top here, so I probably won't do that. And what we'll do is, so then you put it in here so it's balanced, close enough. If it wasn't balanced, if I thought, oh, I don't like that, I'd undo these 4 screws and I'd turn it a quarter of a turn, check it again, turn it, check it again, until I thought, yeah, that's pretty good. Anyway, it seems pretty good there, so I'm going to go with that. Now I put it in here now. Lid on. I'm just doing this now so I can post this. I want to get this video done, posted. So I'll just show you how I would. You could put the socket on there too. Print the socket and put it on. Maybe I should have done that. Anyway, I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to put my finger here. Where is the drill. I've got a screwdriver here. Screwdriver. And look at the distance there. Here's the high point here. I'm just going to tidy up these two. I might back off the other side. So I'm just checking it, and I'll just go back and forth a couple of times. I'm going to back off this other side a bit more, see if I can lift it up. Oh, look at that, that's pretty close. There's a little bit in it, not much. Not much at all. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then the other two, I'll just firm them down a little bit. Later on what I could do is just gently take them out, put the socket on, put them back. When the socket goes on, I've got to lengthen them and use a longer screw. I believe I have some here. I might even have to go to these 6 gauge. Right, here we go. All we're doing is we're finding where the last of the wire came through, and it's here. This looks like, oh no, here it is here. So this is the last turn of the wire. I can see it went through there and came, and I've looped it just there. So that last turn, I want it facing up so I can see it. So when I put them all in, I'm just going to run around and have a look and make sure they're all the right way. There it is there, I can see it. There's in there. Comes out there. Here it is, I can see it. There it is there, I can see it. There we go. So now, we'll just put it like that. A couple of turns on this one. Again, you can't use any lubricants. If anything, you could use a bit of PVA glue if you wanted a lubricant. Add a bit of water to it. When we do our electrical wiring, I will do these, actually wire them in. But basically what's going to happen here is there's two of these will be wired together, so the power will run in here, out the top, in the bottom, out the top, and then we'll go around to the next, so you know, in the bottom, out the top, or in the top, out the bottom, whichever way you want to do it. As long as everything's wired up the same, you should be right. It's going to cause you problems if you don't. If you wire one way and another way, you got problems coming. Perfect. And look at that. Exactly where it should be. And because we use these countersunk tops, they're exactly where they should be. So we know, because they're 60, all the bolts are the same length, and they've come through the back here about the same. When that goes in there, it's too high. So now I can look and I can see and I say, oh, that's too high. So that side's got to go down a bit. And so this side has to go down. Not much. There we go. I can go down a bit more. So, you know, you can muck around with that later. Basically, I've got to put 2 more nuts in here. So I should have 2 more nuts in here so I don't forget them. And the other thought I had was maybe I should have a little cross brace across here. Anyway. Ta-da, that's it. Here's the other one. So I'll go on through and do the other one as well. And yeah, and then what we do is we have to sit down. It's a long story, but we'll get to it. We've got to wire I pull them back out. So I'll pull them back out. But they're now a module, so I'll screw that together. They never have to come in, they never have to be stripped down again. Yeah, unless you have a problem. And later on we're going to do it. I didn't do it yet, but later on we're going to go through and check the resistance on each coil and make sure each coil's got roughly the same. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, it has to be pretty close. Because that'll tell you if there's a dead short in there. If one of them is way out, then we've got to strip it down and redo it. Alright, righto. So I've got these in, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. I'll tilt it up this way maybe. There's to me, when I look in there, there's almost too much gap. There should only be 2 or 3 millimeters on the bottom, 2 or 3 millimeters on the top. But to me, it's looking like there's 5 mil on the bottom and 5 mil on the top, so that's 10 mil. Now here it is. What you can do, see what I did was, where that lid goes on, if it's too short, you can, I should put this on, you don't need it, obviously. Anyway, you put a little thing in it to lift it up. If it's too long, I put it back on the lathe and turn it down, and it'll go down a bit more. I have to take off 2 or 3 mil, and it'll squash that lid down that little bit tighter. You'll get that little bit more out of it. So I might do that. I'll have a think about it. Like I said, I want this one to be perfect. This one's going to last me a long time. I want this to last me a long time. So this is going to be full output, this machine. And I'll have the full transformer with this one. There's no point. Because of the mistakes I made on the other one, this one over here, I'm better off to just leave it sit there as a comparison so I can compare the two. But this one, I'm going to try and fix the problems that are in that one, and then I can sit there and run both of them and we can see the end result in the end. Alright, no worries. Righto. So now the next step is, I'll probably tidy that up over the weekend sometime. I'll publish this video and we'll come back and we'll do the electronics. I'm going to try and get the electronics done before Wednesday as well. Anyway, that's that.